I have been so happy to play the Crossbell games in official released form and for the Trails series to be getting some well-deserved attention. I'm not going to lie though, I'm really looking forward to starting to catch back up in the Trails timeline, to play a Trails game I haven't played before. The last Trails game I played for the first time was Trails of Cold Steel 4 back in 2020, and I am more than ready to dive into a new adventure with Trails Into Reverie coming soon. Even beyond the general excitement for new Trails though, I'm excited because Reverie looks like a massive game with loads of characters I love, plus new intrigue with the new cast members and the unique structure of Reverie compared to other Trails games, giving it a new sense of life. I know the vast majority of the people watching this will be Trails fans, so this is likely all information you're aware of, but I do still want to go into the background for Trails Into Reverie before getting into the meat of the game. Trails Into Reverie is the 10th game in the long-running interconnected RPG Trails series, developed by Nihon Falcom and localized and published in the West by NIS America. Reverie is a unique entry in the series because while it does have a lot of continuity from the previous games like all Trails games do, it isn't specified as part of any of the arcs of Liberl, Crossbell, and Eramonia. That's seen in the title having no connection with Trails in the Sky, Trails from Zero to Azure, or Trails of Cold Steel. Despite this, I've heard people describe Reverie as a mix of the Crossbell and Erebonian arcs, but I'll get into how that works once I detail the story. The previous Trails game that appears to have the most in common with Reverie is in fact Trails in the Sky the Third, which served as a new adventure, conclusion for Sky, and bridge game to future arcs. Trails Into Reverie released in Japan back in August of 2020 for PS4. The game has also received ports to Switch and PC in Japan in 2021. The Western release will be coming for PS4, Switch, Windows, and PS5 on July 7th, 2023, or July 14th in Australia. Hey, that's my birthday. Also, just as a warning, avoid the Wikipedia page for Reverie if you want to avoid spoilers. And also potentially comments on Twitter and YouTube. I'll be monitoring them here though. Trails Into Reverie follows three groups, two of whom we are all very familiar with. First off, we have Lloyd Bannings and the SSS fighting to liberate the state of Crossbell, titled The Day of Re-Independence. Then we have Reen Schwarzer and New Class 7 trying to navigate the world after the end of the Great Twilight, titled The Lost Symbol. Finally, we have our new party, titled The Miserable Sinners, led by the mysterious masked C. Wait, no, not that C. This C. Joined by some new characters to the game, but not new if you've read the Cold Steel 4 book 3 and 9, C has some particular goals in mind. How will they play into the story? I guess we'll just have to play to find out. While these are the main stories of the game, there are numerous other characters that will play a role throughout the story. The cast has more than 50 playable characters, and like Trails in the Sky the Third's Doors, there are side events that focus on particular characters called daydreams across the various trails to walk. It appears that we have more control than usual in how things progress and what stories we do at what point in Trails Into Reverie. That is the Trails to Walk system that I just referenced. Granted, we are still going to do all the same stories in order to finish the game, but the game appears to allow for more choice and flexibility on how you proceed. The idea of multiple viewpoints for a story has always been a strong aspect of the Trails series, and now we experience that via the game mechanics as well. The trailers and information have teased getting different perspectives on even specific events and scenes in the game, so we may get additional context on events as we proceed down each path. Reverie is going to be filled with so many details and revelations of these characters we have come to adore that in some ways is probably going to feel like pure fan service. As it should be, because this is the last time we're going to be seeing some of these characters for a little while once the games proceed onwards. This opportunity for character interactions is part of the beauty of breaking from the usual Trails story/gameplay formula. Beyond that though, I also want to see how things set up for the future arc of Kurono Kiseki. As the promotional material says, this is the end, but also the beginning. Sky the Third had that blend of wrapping up the stories of the previous characters while teasing the next arc, and having a game modeled after that game but even bigger is definitely one way to get me pumped to play it. Reverie has an opportunity to have a fantastic story that puts a fitting cap on the Crossbell and Cold Steel stories while setting up for Calvard, and I am so excited to play it. When it comes to the main combat and gameplay for Trails into Reverie, if you have played the most recent Trails of Cold Steel games, you're going to feel right at home with Reverie. There are some new features though, starting with the United Fronts. Once you have 5 or more party members, which will happen pretty quickly it sounds like given just how many party members there are over the course of the game, you can build up an assault gauge and when full, can unleash a United Front which utilizes everyone in the party both on the field and in reserve. United Fronts also help build your Brave points back up, which are great for getting rush and burst attacks along with the Brave orders. Apart from that, the combat seems pretty much identical to Cold Steel 3 and 4. While there is a lot to do in the main story, it appears that much of your time will be spent in the True Reverie corridor. Those who played Trails of Cold Steel 2 got a preview of what this may look like with the randomized dungeon layout of the endgame portion of Cold Steel 2, with the non-True Reverie corridor. The True Reverie corridor seems like a combination of that and Trails in the Sky the Third's Phantasma. The layout and levels are procedurally generated, split into multiple layers for you and your party to proceed through. What is the reason for engaging with this mechanic though? Well, you can use characters from across the routes in the party and make never before seen party combinations. Progress in the corridor also has other gameplay bonuses that carry over to the main story. You can increase the amount of support characters you can have, or your max BP, along with other useful benefits as you proceed in the corridor. This is also where the optional, but definitely worth it, daydreams come into play. Optional they may be, but by using Sealing Stones you can experience character-specific side stories, like the doors in Sky the Third, and unlock mini-games, more on them later. This is not even getting into the Shuffle Scuffles, randomized party taking on challenges, and Dreamland Hills for rare item and material collecting. I foresee myself spending a lot of time in the corridor, and it is good that there's a lot to do. The game page also teases getting rare items from Sealing Stones and unlocking characters as well, so it makes a lot of sense to do as much of the Reverie corridor as you can along with the main story. As if you needed more stuff on top of the 3 different stories and vast True Reverie corridor, we also have plenty of minigames headed our way, both old and new. We have the shooter game Magical Girl Elisa LS, which while a new game, has roots in an anime introduced in the game Tokyo Xanadu, also by Falcom. Then we have the trivia game hosted by Beryl, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, reminiscent of the quiz game run by Campanella in Sky the Third. Of course, Vantage Masters returns. Please, Falcom, release a new full game version of Vantage Masters, I'm begging you. The card game that took Erebonia by storm in Cold Steel 3 and 4. Then we have Project Tierfing, which is a robot mech action combat mode that I don't know too much about, but looks like it could be fun. While they weren't shown in the trailers we've gotten so far, both Fishing, from pretty much every Trails game we've had before, and Pom Pom Party from Trails to Azure and Cold Steel 4 reappear in Reverie. Then we have the beach episode with even more mini games with cutting watermelons, riding on a banana boat thingy, and the thing that certain people are gonna really want VR for, one-on-one chats with your favorite girl. While this is a lot of mini games and more content is always nice, I do sadly have to confirm that snowboarding is still not in Reverie. One day they'll bring it back. One day. As for the presentation of the game, it looks very similar to Cold Steel 3 and 4, which is to be expected. I do like the look of the game, and anyone who enjoyed the art style of the Cold Steel games is going to enjoy the look of this game. For those who don't know this, Reverie is the final Falcom game to use the old engine that they've been using for probably longer than they should have. The new engine, which has been used for the first 2 Kuro games and the upcoming East 10, does make a cameo appearance in Reverie though with one particular scene. I won't spoil what it is, partly because I don't know what scene it is, but that will be a nice preview of what the new game engine is capable of. Musically, I fully expect it to be similar to the Cold Steel arc, but other than what I've heard in the trailers, I've been trying to avoid listening to the soundtrack so I can experience it in the game. One thing on the sound side of things that I will be excited to hear is the many returning voice actors. There are some minor shuffles such as Suzy Yung replacing Erica Mendez as Rishia's VA since Mendez already voices Ellie McDowell, new VAs for Kia and Ren, and the return of Max Middleman as Lecter and McBurn. For the other 50+ characters, though, we have the same VAs as before, or new ones for those who haven't gotten English voices, mainly Crossbell characters. I'm really excited to hear everyone give some great performances as per usual. Reverie presentation-wise is more of the same, and that's a good thing in my opinion. We're nearly there. A new Trails game is just around the corner, and I know many of you are just as hyped as I am for the game. Thank you to all of you for the patience and love for this series, y'all are the best. Trails Into Reverie has all of the usual presentation and the depth of storytelling and character work, along with a unique style of gameplay that will be a fresh experience for any Trails fan. I cannot wait to get my hands on the game. I ordered the special edition for Switch so I could have the goodies along with my PC copy. What are you most looking forward to in Trails Into Reverie though? Let me know in the comments after you click the like button for the video so we can spread the good news far and wide as to Reverie's imminent release. Subscribe if you have not already for more Trails, Falcom, and gaming content in general, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Have a great day, and happy gaming!